Chapter 2. Potions. The next thing I noticed, I was in a white space. This was the second time it happened, so I was kinda getting used to it now. Turning around, I found myself face to face with a cute girl with blonde hair and blue eyes who looked around 15 to 16 years old. She froze on the spot, a look of surprise on her face. Jackpot. Wait, what did I even think I won in the first place? Are you the goddess in charge of watching over this world? After asking, the girl who looked like a goddess finally broke free from her stupor, answering gleefully. Yes, that's right. I'm Celestine, the supervisor in charge of this world. Welcome to Verney. We're happy to have you. She seemed pretty excited about all this. I thought it would have been more trouble to have a burden like me pushed onto her. I think you've probably already heard from the god in charge of Earth, but I'll be in your debt as of now. My future was riding on this, so I had to be humble. Wait, she was a goddess, so of course I would be humble in front of her. Geez. Yes, I've heard. I'm truly grateful to you. Wait, why was she grateful? Shouldn't this be more of a pain in the butt for her? I couldn't see what she was getting at, so I tried asking her directly. Why would you say that? Shouldn't I be a bit of a nuisance for you? And no, not at all. I really am grateful. After taking the time to listen to the details, I got a rough idea as to why. It seemed like little Miss Goddess here really put the god in charge of Earth on a pedestal. He seemed to be a pretty famous person. Well, a famous god even among the other supervisors, and was popular with the other young goddesses. Wait, so that guy's a friggin' normie. Well, anyway, though she was ecstatic to be in charge of a world similar to his. Whenever they had their analogous world supervisor get-togethers, they actually have those, she was always left behind by her senior goddesses and didn't have a chance to talk to him directly. She could only stare at him longingly from a distance. And that's where I came in. Not only did the person, god, who she had admired so much come to see her directly, oh no, not only that. He bowed his head and asked for a favor, for her to let him know how I was doing from time to time. To apologize for the trouble, he said to ask him any time if there was something he could do for her. Oh, what good fortune. Oh, what bliss. She was ready to throw in a little extra service for me, it seemed. Well, as long as she was helping me out, I guess that was a good thing. And so, the two of us got into the nitty-gritty. My life was depending on this, so I was dead serious. In any case, the things that God promised me went like this. One cheat power, the ability to communicate, read, and write in any language here, and to bring me back to life in a younger version of my current body. Oh, and is there anything that'd be inconvenient about my old body? Anything that makes me stand out too much or get me discriminated against, or that I couldn't have children? Anything like that? Oh, no. Black hair and black eyes are a bit unusual, but it's not like there aren't any people with those traits, and discrimination is practically non-existent. There are no differences between your body and the other people here, so there won't be any problems concerning you having offspring. Alright, that's one load off my shoulders. Then let's get to deciding that cheat. A question before that though. Does magic exist in this world? Like, are there monsters here, and people who hunt said monsters as a job? This was an extremely vital question. Depending on the answer, it could change what type of cheat I would pick and what sort of life I would try living here. I'm not too sure what this cheat is supposed to be, but the other god requested I give you one superior skill that would help you live in this world. Also, everything you just asked about does indeed exist here. Magic, monsters, hunters, and the like. Yeah, all according to plan. Understood. Then, as for my cheat, I'd like to request the power to create medicine that has any effect I want it to have. Ever since the god back on Earth promised me that I could have a cheat power, I'd been wondering what I should choose. If I could only have one, what should I use it for? For fights? Yeah, right. I was a girl with sticks for arms, so I wouldn't be able to do much with that. Even if I made myself the strongest there was, if I were to get famous because of it, then that'd be the end of me. Game over. Surprise attacks, huge groups of people coming to fight with me, getting poisoned, traps being laid for me, being taken hostage. You name it and it could happen to me. It would be a similar story if I went for magic. To make matters worse, there could also be people who would want my powers to run through their family's veins. It might be alright if I was married off in some sort of political marriage, but there was the possibility they would just treat me like livestock or something. Birth scary. In the end, both those abilities would probably just be used for fighting. I'd like to avoid putting my life on the line every day fighting monsters. And I didn't want to kill people fighting in wars with other countries, so I'd take a hard pass on those skills, thank you very much. Anyway, I didn't want any special powers that had a chance of being passed down genetically. I was going to do my best to keep my abilities a secret, and even if people did find out about them, I wanted my power to be something that was limited to me and only me. It had to be something that couldn't be used for evil deeds or to hurt anyone, so as to make people think it wasn't worth threatening me or holding me hostage. Above all else, there was no point if it didn't meet my original goal of an ability that lets me live a safe and happy life. Question. What was the most dangerous thing in a less civilized world? Monsters? Bandits? Wrong. While they were dangerous in their own ways, they could be avoided as long as you had the cash to do so. You could move to one of the safer areas of a big town, for example, and hire a bunch of guards to protect you. I wasn't talking about that sort of danger, but one that couldn't be avoided. I was talking about injury and disease. In modern Japan, illnesses that could easily be solved with a single shot or a surgery would be fatal in this world. The same went for injuries. You could make a complete recovery back in Japan, but living the rest of your life with the after effects of an injury, or if the wound got infected, was a no-go here. Being prepared for those things was probably the most crucial for me to do. Another important thing, of course, was being able to make money. It wasn't going to be easy for a young girl like me to save up money in an unfamiliar parallel world, which was why a power I could use to turn a profit would make everything perfect. That was how I came up with the idea of the ability to create any medicine with the effect I want it to have. That way I wouldn't have to worry about getting sick or injured. And I could open a little potion shop or something and live a life of leisure. Since it cost me nothing to make, it should be a cinch to save up enough money to live on my own until I could find my spouse to be. There were people out there fighting monsters for a living after all, and I wouldn't have to worry about my potions losing to any of my potential business rivals. I mean, I could make potions for free with any effect I wanted them to have. There was no way I could lose. And that was why I decided upon medicine as my cheat power. As I said, I'd like the ability to create any medicine with the effect I want it to have. Since the civilization of this world is far behind compared to that of Earth, diseases and injuries are terrifying to me. I could end up unable to use a hand or leg ever again just because I broke a bone, or die from a sickness that could have been fixed with a single shot back home. It's all the more reason I wanted to make this my request. I'm being sent to this world because God made a mistake and now I can't live on Earth anymore. I'm trying to cover for just a small fraction of that disadvantage with this power, but is that selfish? Would God say no to that, I wonder? It's alright, it's alright. I understand. I was just confirming what kind of ability you wanted, that's all. Alright. Let's keep this ball rolling. Breaking eye contact with the goddess, I looked down and pretended to be deep in thought. Oh, I guess it'd be pretty inconvenient to not have some kind of container when I create the medicine. What would be good, I wonder? Maybe something small and easy to carry, like mini test tubes or something. Or maybe it'd be better to have them in drinking bottles so I could line them up how I want to in a shop. What should I do about the caps, I wonder? It might be a problem using aluminum because of how this world's civilization isn't too far along, but using corks would mean I'd have to worry about things like leakage or it going stale. What to do? What to do? I stole a glance at the goddess. Yep, that was the sort of face that said she had no idea what I was getting at. It's all such a hassle, so could I just have it so the medicine appears in whatever container I'm thinking of? Why yes, I suppose anything is fine if it's just for containers. Yes, I got her to give me her word. Then that sums up the things God had promised me. Is that so? Then let's get started with creating your body. Hold on a second please. I reined the goddess back in. I did this to God too, her. I may be able to live a little longer with this, but it certainly seems like I would end up living a life of discomfort at this rate. This place is so far behind compared to Earth, and not exactly safe either. Well, yes. But that's just the kind of world this is, so I'm afraid you'll just have to put up with it. The goddess seemed troubled as she said that, but I was going to give her another push. Yes, I'm fully aware of that. However, the god of Earth said he would ask you to take care of me. You yourself even talked about how you would give me some extra service earlier. MMGH. True, I did say that. Very well then, what else would you like? Hell yeah? An item box. What? An item box. And what would this, item box be? I thought you'd never ask. For someone as lacking in strength as myself, it'd be impossible to carry the items, equipment, water, food, and whatever else that may be necessary to travel in this world. Not only that, but if I were to carry all my money and valuables with me all the time, I'm sure to be attacked by pickpockets or bandits. The same goes for leaving my belongings at an inn. There is a world where I can't even trust the people working at the inn, let alone the other patrons staying there. I just wouldn't feel safe about that. No matter how hard I work, I'd never be able to save any money, which would make moving to another town of my own accord extremely difficult. How exactly would I be able to live a happy life like this? MNGH, the goddess winced. That's where the item box comes in. It's a storage device connected to an alternate dimension with infinite capacity, and because time is frozen inside it, anything put inside will never deteriorate. I can take things out or put things in whenever I like, and it's impossible to be used by anyone else. If I put my money and other belongings in it, then I don't have to worry about anything being stolen, or having luggage so heavy I wouldn't be able to move anywhere. This power is the bare minimum that is absolutely imperative for my day-to-day life, wouldn't you agree? I see. This item box seems to be quite the convenient object. Did everyone use one back on the world the other god oversaw? Oh no, it was pretty easy to carry luggage around back on Earth, and you wouldn't really have to worry about your stuff because of how safe it was back there. Ahaha. I managed to play that off pretty well, I think. Then I will begin the final checks. Your body will be the same genetically, and back to how you were at 15 years old. Earth's supervisor provided your genetic information, so there's no need to worry about that. The people of this world are said to come of age at 15 years old as well, with the marriageable age for aristocrats between 15 to 18 years old, and 15 to 22 for commoners, so I believe that will be a suitable age for you. Oh, and aristocrats are usually quick to make marriage engagements, so them getting married as soon as they come of age is actually quite common. Once you pass 18, you're considered late to the marriage party, and going past 20 means you're in trouble. As for the commoners, people from more rural areas usually marry earlier for various reasons, such as to lower the cost of food, for more manpower, or because they want to hurry up and have a child. In the city, however, the average age is generally somewhere between 17 and 22. Around 23, they start getting really desperate. 24, they're at the end of their rope, and by the time they reach 25 and 26, they have this dead look in their eyes. Well, crap, that's pretty harsh. Gotta do my best getting married. Continuing on. As per your request, you will receive the ability to understand, read, and write in any language, the power to create any medicine with the exact effect you imagine it to have, in any container you are thinking of, and finally, an item box spell that connects to an interdimensional storage with unlimited space. where time doesn't pass inside of it. You can access it anytime, anywhere, and it cannot be used by anyone else but you. I don't really understand what this item box is, but I'll make it so it reflects whatever you imagine it to be, so be sure to keep a clear image of it in your head and how it functions. Now, is there anything wrong with what I just said? Yep, that's all perfect. Now for the finishing touches. No, there's nothing wrong with that. To finish, I have a few questions and one more request to make. Is that all right? Of course, feel free to ask me anything. The goddess had a look on her face that showed how relieved she was this would finally be over soon. Alright, guess I'll ask her. The first thing I'd like to ask about is the religions of this world. There's nothing scarier than religion after all. What are they like here? That's an easy one. Almost all the religions of this world believe I'm the one and only God and worship me. How they pronounce and write my name varies slightly depending on the sect and the region, but they're all referring to me. The doctrines and laws of each also differ to a certain extent, but since they all split off from the same thing, there isn't much difference between them fundamentally. They admonish any type of discrimination against a person's race or status, so I would say they're relatively moderate religions. I would assume demons and such would be their enemies, but since they don't actually exist, there aren't any problems there. So there was only one religion, I didn't know if that wasn't a problem, or a really big one. Then would it be bad if someone formed a new religion, or if the current one were to die out? No, I wouldn't really mind. It's not like I'm actually a god after all. I'm just part of a long-lived and ancient species. Since I end up driving humans away due to my adjustments to the world and getting rid of distortions, it's more convenient for them to think of me as a divine being, so I won't really deny it. However, I'll also sometimes send out divine revelations to save them from great disasters and the like. My existence and the role I play have nothing to do with faith. But I'm fine with playing the part of a fictional goddess if it means imparting beneficial teachings that would support the lives of the people. While there aren't any significant problems regarding the doctrine of the religion, there haven't been anything to oppose it all this time, and corrupt priests are beginning to spread like wildfire. There wouldn't be any problems if it were to disappear. After all, it's been 50 years since the last time I sent a revelation to this world, though sometimes you'll find people claiming to be the new oracle, but that's nothing more than an egregious lie. Now I'm starting to get mad. Maybe I'll send down some divine punishment for the first time in a few hundred years. Whoa, slow down. If you're going to do that, do it later, and somewhere far away from me. Then on to my next question. Would it be bad to do anything that would influence the world on a large scale? Like, for example, if I were to spread techniques or ways of thinking from back on Earth. No, I wouldn't mind that at all really. My job is to keep the space-time continuum stable, so I don't really plan on doing anything with this world's civilization. If it seemed like a large amount of living creatures were going to die for no reason, then I might try to lend them a hand. Sometimes I try helping out a particular organism just to kill time, but I never thought once about trying to influence the culture of this world to go in any specific direction. On that point, the supervisor for your world really is amazing for putting so much love and affection into the work he does for life on Earth. If you thought that way, then you should do it too. That way you could have something in common with a god to talk about. Oh, hey, maybe I should just tell her that. Then why don't you try putting in some more work as well? Oh, no, you have no idea how much of a pain that is. If you don't have enough affection and patience for living things and leave it only halfway done, it turns into a real mess. I made a little mistake doing just that in the past, so I haven't been trying my hand at it lately. But if the god of my world were to see his junior working hard doing the same work he was, don't you think he'd be happy about that? Since you finally managed to make a connection with him now, you could go ask him for advice when you're in trouble or if you messed up on something. It'd be something in common you could both talk about. That's it. Oh, why didn't I figure that out sooner? I'm such an idiot. I'll start preparing to maintain the world again right away. Good, just try your best not to mess anything up, okay? You're not going to mess up on purpose just so you can come back to me for more advice, right? I mean, you are the person in charge of this world after all. Alright, I've got one last question then. You don't have to answer this if you don't want to, it's just something I'm asking out of curiosity. Both you and the God in charge of Earth how do I put it? You both talk like humans, even though I think you're both higher life forms that far surpass the likes of us humans. Despite that, the feelings you have for God are something on the same level as humans, and that feels really strange to me. I'm sorry if I made you feel bad. You really don't have to answer. I just wanted to ask at least once. It took some courage to ask that question, and there really wasn't any merit in asking it, but I was just so curious I couldn't help myself. If I didn't, I wouldn't be satisfied with why God treated me the way He did, and I wouldn't truly be able to relax and enjoy my life. This also had something to do with whether or not I would ask her my final request. I see. Well, of course you'd be curious about that. Then I'll explain this as simply as I can. If you don't understand or aren't satisfied with something, please think of it as that's just how it is. Looks like she was going to tell me after all. The expression on her face seemed like it just got way more serious too. I was getting a powerful sense of intelligence from her eyes that I didn't feel before. It is true we are beings that greatly differ from your species. We have no defined physical form, the appearance of myself and the being in charge of Earth being nothing more than a temporary form to match that of you humans. In addition, our mental processes and the speed at which we think are vastly different than your race. Not only are we long-lived, our perception of time differs as well. For that reason, the being you see before you is the consciousness of only one of the numerous parallel thought processes from my true body. This consciousness, which has been given the role of watching over this world, has had its thought processing slowed down to the bare minimum and its intelligence lowered to the extreme for the purpose of interacting with your species. But to be completely honest, this is all quite enjoyable. If I were to explain it in a way you would understand, it would be a sensation similar to watching an infant crawl around or watching a small child play some silly game that you don't have the slightest clue in why they find it to be entertaining. Something along those lines. I don't know if I got the point across well enough or not. Rather, my other, much more intelligent parallel thought processes are enjoying the emotion I am feeling right now. The sense of respect I feel toward the being in charge of Earth is genuine. Or rather, the foundation that makes up my real body, has a profound respect for that being's true form, which would most likely be the cause of why I hold such strong feelings for them. My current body and real body are one and the same after all. Just like myself, the supervisor in charge of Earth is only an extremely small portion of the foundation of that being's consciousness, so they seem like a person well worthy of my respect for them. Or something like that. And so, considering the situation that being found themselves in, they approached you in earnest and did what they thought was right for you. To be honest, I think they may be a bit excessive in their approach, but that is very much like that being, which is wonderful in and of itself. That is why I want to respect their intentions as much as possible. Was that clear enough? I hope.